Hi guys, this is Heather Biederman for the Liberty Librarian. Wow, that looks pixelated. We'll try to see, I'm doing Zoom backgrounds. So we're doing a new show on Zoom today and it looks like I have all the sound working and everything good. Ah, it's always crazy. So everything that I tested the other day had been actually on my work one. So it worked differently than this one did. So we're good. Look at that. You can see through my thing. Let me tell you, I'm using a Zoom background, trying it out, see how it looks. I'll just show you for fun what it looks like without the virtual background. And it's less pixelated. So I think I'm going to go with that for now. It looked fine when you have faster streaming speeds, but it's a little fuzzy today. And I think the good thing about Zoom is it tries to fix the problem. So if there's slow internet, it's fine. It will work. But I just wanted to get my show going. So I've been fighting with it for the last 20 minutes. So I'm sorry it started a little later than normal, but I'm here. I hope you're doing good. I'm going to go look at, let's see, which pages would be the best one. I'll go to my home. We're going to just see if we're going to go where the dialogue is. So I have there's chat software on the Freedom Revolution Network, so we can go to there. I have a Liberty Librarian page there. Our fabulous webmaster, Melissa, has updated things. So it has the new logo and new times on there. Has some of the older shows on there. I need to update some of those yet. If you want to donate to Freedom Revolution Network, there's a donate button on the page. It's pretty cool. I'm very happy about that. It's a good group of people, and I think you guys, you'd love it. Check it out. Take a look and see what's out there. Merch will be coming soon. We're working on it. It's just a lot of really fun stuff, and I'm loving it. I love working on this. So, how you doing? It's Thursday, so it feels weird. Like I do the weekend in review, but now it's kind of a recap of the week. Oh, it's been kind of nuts with all the construction at my work. They cut one of the wires for our study room, so there's no wired internet in there, and there's a computer little lab in there, so people want to take tests or they want to watch some of the movies and have a quiet place to do it. They don't. So it was a lot of running around today and trying to fix things. There's a lot of stuff in the news that I'll cover today. We have some interesting stuff about libraries, but also about China and future of .org domain names. So we'll have a little bit of news today. In my own personal news here, I'm going to go grab something really quick. Let's see, is this the one that's not open? Yep, this one. I got new phone came in the mail. Let's see if I can flip it. That would be helpful, don't you think? Oops. Wrong button. Here, we'll unmirror it. See what that is? It's a Google Pixel 3a XL. I got it in the mail. I love getting my new phones. So I'll put that background on. I like that background. It looks pretty nice. And I don't think I'm that pixelated compared with it on. So what I like about it is it makes it look like I'm, even though it's almost nighttime here, because I live in Minnesota and like the lack of sunlight in the winter is disturbing. So it looks like I'm sitting in a sunshiny house, like relaxing. Kara and I are having fun on her Kara Schultz Twitch marathon last night, and if you had a chance to watch, it was a lot of fun. I was on for 2 hours and we played around, but she encourages me for bad behavior. So like she wanted me to be on the beach. Doesn't that look nice? But I think it's a little distracting. Although I kind of just then I'll sit and stare at the waves and go, duh. So I'm just gonna leave it as bookshelves for now, just because that looks pretty cool. I like books. I always sit around books all day, so it doesn't surprise me. But I just got these phones, and my husband Andy and I are both getting them. So I haven't even opened it except for the box. So, oh yeah, this is the other thing. Um, so there you go. Still in the plastic, and it's so sexy. I love that. So I'm gonna play with that tonight and try to get it set up. And what's kind of crazy about these phones, though, we did it through. Don't put that over there. We're trying a new service because I was on Virgin Mobile before, and they're going out of business with that. I don't know why. I've been doing it forever, but my plan before was like $35 a month for unlimited, which unlimited for them was more like 10 gigs. But the plan we went to was Google Fi, and Google Fi, I'm a little wary about it, but it's unlimited and it's like no hassle. So my husband hasn't had a smartphone before, so we'll see how that goes. He's a little nervous. It's weird. My hair looks ripply. I'm watching the edges because the computer's trying to overcompensate for the wall behind me. I don't have a green screen. So it's been kind of a crazy week, lots of family stuff going on and getting ready. The new news is Sweet Subversive. You'll hear it here. If you were on Kara's show last night, you would hear our announcement. But Kara and I are going to be starting a show together on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central Time. And it's going to be like a combination of, I think, more libertarian news and a little bit of pop culture. We love just goofing off and looking at memes, and we could look at memes all day. So it's gonna kind of morph over time. But that show we're going to be mostly doing off of Facebook, and I think I'm going to figure out a way to share it to YouTube and possibly Twitch as well. But right away, we're going to keep it simple. The Facebook page and presence will be coming soon. I'm working on that. I have sometimes I do really well with graphic design stuff, and other times I just trust in other people. But today and this week, I've been looking at Canva, the website for designing stuff. There's this really weird hair that just appeared on my screen. I'm like, what the? It's still there. Where'd it come from? I've been trying to do stuff for free and on the cheap. I always feel like when you're first starting out, you shouldn't throw a lot of money into starting a new venture. I mean, it's different for a group of people. You're starting a whole network like what they did with our Freedom Revolution Network. Of course, it's going to take money. You have that many more people. You need more, more service. You need to make it so it works. So it does cost more, but when you're first starting out together and you're just trying to feel it out, I think it's pretty cool. You do your stuff for free. However, for Liberty Librarian, I paid someone to make a logo. But I also use a lot of free tools to kind of make it work out. So if you are thinking about doing a show, it seems like everybody I know is starting to do a show lately. So my advice is to keep it cheap right away. If you get people loving you, maybe they'll help pay for some of it. But if not, then as time goes on, you'll know what your actual needs are. Don't just get the most top of the line stuff, because you may find that you really don't like it or you don't have time for it. So keep it cheap. So if you're like, oh, this isn't for me, it's not the end of the world. So that's my advice. Although I've been breaking the heck out of my microphone, so hopefully it still works. I switched the settings on it. Actually, I'm going to switch it back because I thought Melissa might sound a little better too. So I think Melissa said that she thought it wasn't working, so I switched it to a different setting. But It should be good. I feel like I'm sitting way too close. I'm like, look at my nose. Do you want to see my brain? Okay. So I'm a little goofy today. Um, I have some news for you. Let's see what else. So Subversive, if I can talk. Next Wednesday starts, but I'm still going to be doing Liberty Librarian as always, intellectual freedom news, weird stuff from Heather. And if you become a fan of that show and you just are going to watch it later and you go, oh, Heather's got some interesting things about politics and government and all of that. My old shows are also available as podcasts. So if you want to listen in the car, I'm trying to make it so it's accessible and you can get it however you need it. Let's see what this week. I will say I was down to the wire. I was working on getting my submission in for the Hello Sunshine Library Book Club. Did I leave one of these at back? Oh, I hope not. Hold on 1 second. I'm looking for one of my articles that I printed out and I don't see it. I don't know if I didn't grab it. That would just suck. Yeah, I didn't grab one of them. So it's less of them, but I can talk about what I know. I can talk about what I know, even though I left one of them at work. What is going on? Okay, so in the news, everybody's been talking about Trump and the State of the Union address, which it's all things that didn't surprise me, but everyone's all obsessed with Nancy Pelosi ripping up the State of the Union after. But one of the things I noticed was that she had reached her hand out to shake his hand and he passed her by. So I think they're both being rather immature. So that's all I can say about that. I don't think it's cool either way for professional people to throw temper tantrums like that. So also in the news is China with the coronavirus, which has spread everywhere. One of the things, God, where did it go? I'm so mad. It's probably right on my desk back at work. But I'm going to bring that up. Since I have a computer, let's do this. It was on CNN about the coronavirus. Every time you see stuff, it ends up being like worse and worse every time. Let's see, coronavirus. It was on the main page. I'm going to share it with you, so do not worry. Coronavirus. There we go. Oh, it says live updates. 2 babies infected with the coronavirus in China, says CCTV. I'll make sure this, I mute this because it's going to start playing. I can see it. Hate autoplay on computers.
14 days in, and we were headed out.
Yeah, there's a reporter living and working under the quarantine in China. And what was interesting to me is that in the news, I saw that they had built an entire coronavirus hospital in 7 days. Oh, this is one of the ones. I'm gonna click this. Can I click this? It's they had worked nonstop overnight. It had 1,600 beds and 2,000 medical staff to work to fight the disease. So obviously they are ready for this to be like a crazy huge thing. So if I share my screen, let's see if that works. Share screen. Okay, pick it. Only one participant can share at a time. There it is. Sure. So this is the hospital from up in the air, and it's aerial footage that shows the construction, and it took 7 days to build it. They made this giant hospital out of nothing, and what is amazing to me is they can really just do that so quickly. it's amazing what they did. But more terrifying is the necessity that they had to do this. So the coronavirus is really, I think what I read was like it's 560 people have died so far, and it's probably more than that, even just after just talking about it. Um, but what was scary to me was seeing that the doctor that had announced it. Oh, here I'll show him. Um, who had sounded the Wuhan virus alarm was critically ill, and then he just died. So it doctors are usually really careful around disease and young enough so they have good immune systems and can fight the viruses. But he has he has passed. So it makes you think usually when they have diseases and they say, don't worry, if you're a child or an elderly person or someone with a immunocompromised system, you are the ones that have to worry. And that's normal. But you're looking at healthy, young doctor who was around it all the time, trying to treat it, and he died. So, should we be taking this a little more seriously? I do think so. And what was interesting here is in the editor's note at the bottom, they said this story has been updated to reflect further reporting from Chinese state media and an official statement from the hospital. So if I show you that, so he's passed. Where is the official statement? Profound grief and anger, because they are trying to kind of hold back information. Let's see. They said the number of confirmed cases globally stood at 28,275 as of Thursday, with more than 28,000 of those in China. So the majority are still in China, but around the world it's starting to grow. It says they're growing by leaps and bounds, about 15% each day. All of which are, but 2 are in China and 1 in the Philippines and 1 in Hong Kong. So it's still spreading. I had seen a map of where they were in the United States, and that was in the article that I had printed earlier. And I'm a little bummed that I don't see that here. That's okay though. So what I wanted to share today here, I'm going to switch it back so it's on my screen and stop share. There we go. Now we're back. So it is something to be very thoughtful about. In one of my Facebook groups that they had talked about in India, the government there had encouraged people to use homeopathic resources, treatments, I should say, to help with it, because there isn't an official drug yet that is being prescribed. They're fighting it with a multitude of antibiotics and working to stop the system, the body from destroying itself. So let me go back and see, because I remembered looking at that and I wanted to make sure I shared that with you guys today when I'm talking about the Chinese censorship that goes with the virus. Okay, so let's see. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, just give me 1 second and I will find that. The thing that is bothersome about, I just gotta find it. We're so close, so close. John Hopkins doctor says the new coronavirus is here to stay. Expect seasonal outbreaks. So it might be going around and taking around. New Chinese city lockdown as virus kills abroad. That's not it. There's just like so much news about it. Okay, one more. I'm almost there. Oh gosh. There's so much news. The infections are massively underreported, warns a Hong Kong academic. There's a first case of a coronavirus confirmed in Belgium. Singapore, there's 4 officially. Cruise passengers quarantined after 1 test positive for coronavirus. So it's spreading. It's getting it to be everywhere. Now, how serious is this compared to what they're telling us it should be? You need to be very careful. You need to be clean. You need to wash your hands. You need to not be around people who are very ill. And I work at a college, so it makes it very difficult. But people in America are a little weirded out about trying to like wear masks and that sort of thing. It's something that you need to think about if you are around people who are very ill. Nurses are badly treated in Hong Kong without notification. A public hospital head suddenly broke open nurses' lockers. God, what was it called? I'm trying to remember. It was about alternative. It must have been in India. I'm trying to find it. Maybe they took it down. That would make some sort of sense. Okay, I'm almost, there we go. Okay, so India government tells citizens to use homeopathy to treat the Chinese coronavirus. And I'm gonna like click on that, and I'm going to also click on what they actually said to use. Okay, so this is Newsweek talked about India government telling citizens to use homeopathy to treat China coronavirus. Now I'm just going to show you what the page looks like just so you can see it. So we will do some sharing. Share screen. There it is. Okay. So you see they talk about this is they were all weirded out by alternative treatments and here all the countries with confirmed cases. What's really scary was that they said that it's horrible that they're that people are getting coronavirus, but they said the Indian government gave hygiene recommendations, but they also said, and they highlighted this, that both pseudo medical practices take a holistic approach to physical and mental health, are aimed at creating and maintaining a balance in the body. Ayurveda, plants, animals, minerals, metals. But the U.S. Food and Drug Administration warns that they can make some products potentially harmful. And you know what? Any medicine can be potentially harmful. But what made me mad was, look through this whole article, and they wouldn't say what drugs that they're recommending that people use, because and they have said this in a variety of social media sites, that even if you mention it, and I'm wondering if this is something that's going to happen more and more, mention herbal supplements that could be used to help to be helpful to prevent coronavirus, or to help you if you catch it, to get over it quickly. They will take posts down. And I haven't, and I think it's more like public pages and groups. So that's, I get worried about that. But on personal, I don't think they're taking it down yet. But that's censorship. So one of the things that I wanted to show you was this. And it's the, what do they call it? Arsenicum album 30X tablets. So it's basically arsenic. It's a form of arsenic, which is a poison, but in smaller amounts, it's been a traditional medicine for many years. So they're looking at this as a potential. And so this is what the government there has been recommending. And it's very affordable. But what made me more angry was that it was a potential thing that government has been recommending, and yet the news won't even report what it is. because they're so afraid that people will start to use it. And I say, it's up to you what you want to, it's not illegal to buy this. I don't know why it's illegal to talk about it. And I worry about living in a world where potential remedies for what ails you can't even be talked about because someone on a federal board thinks that it's worrisome. And this has been a supplement that's been used for hundreds and hundreds of years and to many benefits, but any supplement can go wrong. So you decide for yourself. I know a lot of people will say, go to your doctor and ask them, and they will tell you no. But I've had a few supplements in my life that have treated conditions and diseases that have worked better than some of the ones prescribed. One of which is colloidal silver for pink eye. Works, I'd say, faster, better, stronger, everything than some of the eye drops, the antibiotic eye drops. And nowadays they're saying antibiotics make stronger strains of bacteria and viruses and whatnot. So I am no medical person, but what stresses me out is the fact that when it comes to disease, there are so many things we don't know or understand, and limiting options limits information. So I am against that. So anyway, more information. The other thing I wanted to mention was there was an article in the New York Times. No, I lied. The Wall Street Journal on the 27th of January that talks about China's censorship helped spread the virus. So what they had talked about was that the accelerating speed of the new coronavirus from the central Chinese city, Wuhan, is in a grave situation. To help to stop the virus spread, the Chinese government has barred residents of Wuhan and nearby cities from traveling and blocked outbound flights, which makes sense. Trains, buses, ferries. But if this develops into a catastrophe, the cult of personality around their whole regime efforts to control information will deserve much of the blame. Now, this is what's happened. For the precedent, look back to 1918 when the Spanish flu broke out in World War I, and the US government officials and the press did all they could to play it down, lest hurt the war effort. You can't hurt the war effort. So while the Los Angeles health chief declared there's no cause for alarm, the Arkansas Gazette described the disease as the same old fever and chills. People were dying by the thousands. And the name Spanish flu is not quite what it was. The countries where it officially surfaced, France, China, and the US, the news was suppressed by censorship and self-censorship to maintain wartime morale. And in comparison, China sent only civilian laborers to the battlefield, but declared war on Germany in August 1917. Not until King Alphonse XIII of neutral Spain fell ill did news of the virus spread widely. So it took a public figure for people to even talk about it, which would be what happens today. So if a celebrity or someone famous, politician that people know, then it will be real. And I think then it will really be terrifying. So between the spring of 1918 and early 1919, 3 waves of Spanish flu tore across the whole planet, facilitated by censorship and secrecy. If people had known that there was illness, maybe they wouldn't have put themselves in situations where they're around large groups of people. If someone was ill and they had heard that it was going on, maybe they would have given themselves reason to not be there. So the results were catastrophic. For Spanish flu, 50 million people were killed worldwide, including nearly 700,000 Americans. Because the Chinese Communist Party cares more about its social control than the well-being of China's people, a similar situation is imaginable today. One of the densest population centers in the globe is in China. Human and Health Services Secretary Alex Azar has praised the Chinese authorities for being transparent and cooperative, as much as you would expect from them, including by publishing the sequence of the virus that they have isolated, but in other respects, Beijing's behavior has heightened the risk. China has no independent media and strict censorship, even in peacetime. The virus has spread to Xinjiang, where the government holds more than 1 million people in densely populated re-education centers, so little prisons. Beijing has blocked Taiwan, which has 3 confirmed cases of the virus, from even participating in a World Health Organization discussion of the outbreak. So they're not even letting medical professionals there work to try to put a stop to this. It's going to be catastrophic. Chinese police are interrogating people for spreading rumors. So if you talk about it on social media, they arrest you. 2 days before Wuhan's government disclosed the severity of the outbreak, it hosted potluck banquets for more than 100,000 people. On January 10th, a government expert told the state network closed caption television that the virus was under control in a mild condition. Wuhan's best-selling newspaper didn't put the outbreak on its front page until nearly 3 weeks after the first cases. So people had no idea what was going on. Analysts suspect the actual number of infected is thousands higher than currently confirmed 1,400. And that was like a week ago. So, from what I just said, it's a lot more than that now. The lesson of 1918 is secrecy can kill. Chinese communism now threatens the world with massive medical disaster. So the details are, that's weird. Oh, it gave me all the database information. That's really nice. Oh, I do have it. I stapled them together. I was being silly. So the other one was that the Americans evacuated from China as CDC confirms a 12th case in the US of coronavirus. So they said they landed an airplane at March Air Reserve Base in Riverside County, California. All the passengers are under federal quarantine orders for 14 days since they left Wuhan. So all these people that are fleeing to America or have to sit for at least like almost 2 weeks before they are allowed to go back into the population. So they're on it, but how terrifying it must be for people that are trying to escape that. There's 178 passengers who arrived overnight at Travis Air Force Base. So every plane that's coming, they're quarantining the people and waiting to see. Which if we had known that China had this going on a little earlier, there'd be less that would be around the world. So something to think about. A child on the plane developed a fever during the flight and was hospitalized with a parent in isolation pending test for coronavirus. CDC said that the families are at the bases and they're trying to assist the passengers. We do not believe these people pose a threat in the location they'll be held. They're not worried that it's so insipid that it will make everyone ill, but they're trying to be sure, which makes me happy. They said that, not only did they have like an 11-hour flight from China, there was applause. They're glad to be there. They're glad that they let them land. Even if they have to be in quarantine for 2 weeks, they are glad to escape. There's an unknown nature of the coronavirus and there's uncertainty. And then everyone is very stressed out. So people are fleeing and trying to escape China as fast as they can. There are more planes from Wuhan that are expected to arrive at the Marines Corps Air Station in Miramar, in San Diego, Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, and Eppley Airfield in Omaha, Nebraska. So it's spread out. And there's a dozen patients. Evacuations come at the 12th case of coronavirus in the US, this time in Wisconsin. There are very few details of the 12 patients that have been given to health officials to walk the line between patient privacy and duty to public health. So these are out there and people are thinking about them carefully. The majority, 8, are men. All are adults. 4 in their 20s, 4 in their 30s, 1 is over 40, and 6 are in their 50s or 60s. So not the typical age demographic for a typical flu group, but usually those are the ones that can survive are that age. 20s to late, I'd say 30s to 40s are the most survivability for disease like that. But this is new. The symptoms, such as fever, cough, and breathing difficulties, many questions remain about the transmission. Uh, like, how long does it live? In the air? Is it by touch, particles? If you get something mailed from China, would it be there? If you eat meat that's contaminated with it, we don't know. They're looking more into it. It would be pretty unusual for respiratory virus to be spread in that manner. Um, they wondered about a pregnant woman transmitting the virus to her unborn child, but they're pretty sure that's not going to be true. Um, what's more, the CDC said more information is needed to determine if whether an asymptomatic patient, that is a person who's been exposed but hasn't become ill, can spread the virus. So there's a lot to think about. They think it spreads mostly through droplets from cough or sneezes, similar to influenza. So cover your mouth, cover your cough, wash your hands, be clean. If you're touching doors, don't touch your eyes. Don't make sure that you are clean, that you have a good plan. You take your vitamins. I always say, I'm a big believer in colloidal silver. So, if you start feeling tickly, take a few extra drops. I know some people put it in their ears, but I think like a little bit of oral colloidal silver. One of the ones I like lately are olive leaf extract is really useful. I keep a bottle in my fridge of elderberry syrup, which I think is very helpful for your immune system as well. And I always take a little bit of garlic supplement every day. So there are things that you can do to strengthen that immune system. So if you do come in contact with it, you have a better shot. But at this point, we don't know enough to really say, like, what are your chances? What do you need to do to prevent it? Um, I mean, you don't probably need to be a shut in at this point. Most of the cities in the United States are pretty good on lockdown for tracking the disease, but you never know. I mean, some of these things can really spread. So please be very careful and share information with each other. The thing that seems to me the most obvious from history repeating itself is hiding information to make us feel better does not actually help us. Knowledge is power, and you will always, always, always do better if you are prepared for an emergency and you know what you would do in case it starts to come here. So be thoughtful about that. They're working on making tests. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is donating up to 100 million to improve detection, isolation, and treatment efforts. So they're working on it. It's a scary time, but I think that we can work to make it better. So hopefully it will start to diminish and we will see it even out. That's what I'm hoping. It's a scary time. But I'm going to change subjects because it's a little freaky for me. One of the things I also wanted to talk about is this new article that I read today in the New York Times. This one actually is the New York Times, The Shaky Future of .org Domains. Now, when I teach library classes to students, we talk about how .com is commercial sites, .edu is educational, .gov is government sites, and .org is nonprofit organizations. And when I was teaching this more in classes, it was much more, if you see it's a .gov or .edu site, they had always told us that it was more believable and reliable resource than a .com. However, the question of .org domains was a little bit off. Now, why is that? Online commerce and for-profit activity has largely shaped the internet over the last 25 years. So there's so many domain names now out there that it's
very questionable about what would be a commercial site compared to something else. One of the corners is the .org top-level domain, the go-to domain for nonprofits and non-governmental organizations looking to establish an affordable and reputable online presence. So you have names like NewYorkTimes.com, like Tufts edu. It's key real estate for the internet. Without a domain, it's next to impossible to have an online presence. You want people to find you. There are over 350 million domain names registered worldwide. They're sold to customers through registrars like GoDaddy, etc. They have registries like VeriSign, which manages top-level.com domain names. It's big business. People want to have a name that they can find and one that looks like something they can trust. And the hierarchy sits the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. So it's like an organization that it's a nonprofit that designates which registries control which top level domains and helps resolve disputes. It's a multi-stakeholder. So it's ICANN, Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. So ICANN, if I say ICANN, that's what it means. All users of the internet deserve a say in how it's run. So since 2002, domains ending in .org have been purchased through an agency called Public Interest Registry, which is owned by the Internet Society, a well-regarded nonprofit working to expand access to the internet across the world. But in November, the Internet Society announced it was planning to sell the Public Interest Registry, along with control of all the .org domains, for $1.1 billion to a recently formed private equity company called Ethos Capital, with close ties to former leaders of the internet governance community. Sounds suspicious, right? This proposed sale has sparked outrage from many of the people at prominent internet nonprofits, including Wikimedia Foundation, and you know them, they run Wikipedia, and Electronic Frontier Foundation, and rightly so. One worry is that Ethos, in an attempt to make the .org top-level domain as profitable as possible, will rapidly raise prices for its customers. So for years, a 2013 contract capped at the most of a .org domain at being $8.25, with an allowed increase of no more than 10% per year, a restriction that kept .org domains affordable because they're for nonprofits. So today, a .org domain costs $9.93 a year, which is very reasonable. But in June 2019, ICANN approved the new contract, eliminating the price cap, even though thousands of people voiced opposition to that decision during a period of public comment. Ethos said it will continue to raise prices for .org domains no more than 10% per year, but it's not clear how these promises will be enforced. So, or who will do it? And the timing of the sale following immediately of the elimination of the price cap has contributed to some skepticism surrounding the deal. And they think that their ethos will cave to pressure from foreign governments about which organizations should and should not be allowed to own .org domains. Currently, .org is an open domain, so anyone allowed to register a .org domain, and there are more than 10 million of them registered worldwide. But the Public Internet Registry has authority to suspend domain names for illegal activity. One of the concerns raised in a public letter opposing the sale is potential for governments to target NGOs by accusing them of illegal activity and pressuring Public Internet Registry to take down their domains. So it's kind of a sneaky way around of getting rid of people who are against governments. It says, in Hong Kong, all 5 of those NGOs have .org domains. So Chinese government sanctioned only 5 US headquartered NGOs for their involvement in the protests in Hong Kong. So they have a vested interest in trying to get rid of this. And it's an easy way for them to get rid of their online web presence by saying, oh, they're doing illegal activities, you should take them down. And who's to say they are or not? I mean, they don't really have anyone that's a watchdog for this. So that's a little scary. ICANN has the ability to block the deal, as well as question the involved parties about how they would manage the .org domain and protect customers. But in a statement to the Financial Times, ICANN said it does not have authority over the proposed acquisition, a claim that is patently false. ICANN itself, in a blog post last month, acknowledged that the PIR must obtain ICANN's prior approval before the transaction could result in a change of control of the registry operator, and pledge its responsibility in evaluating the transaction very seriously. But while ICANN says that it asked PIR for more information about the sale, it has told public very little about inquiries or the ensuing responses, and has not solicited any public comments on the transaction. So this reasoning seems that since the sale does not threaten the security, reliability, stability of the .org domain, it's not its place to intervene. But ICANN regularly makes decisions about domain ownership that are unrelated to issues of security and stability. Like just last year, it granted Amazon ownership of the .amazon top-level domain over the objections of several South American countries that actually have the Amazon there, the Amazon River. So the decision resolved a 7-year-long dispute dating back to 2011 when ICANN decided to open up more top-level domains beyond the standard ones like .com, .org, .gov. ICANN received nearly 2,000 applications in 2012 for new top-level domains like .google, .love, .microsoft, and .wine. I love wine. So anyway, each application, the applicant had to pay ICANN $185,000, kids, in addition to ongoing fees for maintaining the domains. So big business companies can be the ones that can make change happen. It's not quite fair when you're looking at this as for nonprofits. So they bought the massive influx of cash for ICANN and helped fund its subsequent international expansion and process of severing its financial ties to the US government in 2016. The point of severing those ties was to engender greater international trust in ICANN. So that way foreign governments and foreign countries would want to be a part of it. The system of global internet governance that it oversees. But instead, ICANN seems at risk of being captured by commercial interests, a risk that became apparent with the lucrative 2012 expansion of top-level domains that benefited no one besides ICANN. So odds are that 7 years later, you never interacted with a website ending with one of the domains, and if you have, it's probably only the means of delivering spam or malware to your computer. It's in a very delicate position in the contract with the United States, but instead of ability to balance interests of all the stakeholders, from the government officials and civil society groups, and for-profit companies. It's even questioned the ethos deal for fear of drawing criticism. It's too big, too powerful, and no one can really say no to them. But the real risk to ICANN is in failing to protect the remaining corners of the internet preserved for public good, and letting its for-profit stakeholders become dominant voice in decision-making process. So our free, beautiful internet is once again in another corner being dominated by commercial interests and government interests. And it's going to come to the point where eventually we're going to have a new internet, something to replace this one because it'll be too corrupted. So they say in this New York Times article, ICANN should publicly investigate the sale so that all of its stakeholders can see exactly which safeguards will be put in place to protect .org customers. And if those safeguards are not sufficient or enforceable, if they meet with widespread disapproval and satisfaction from .org customers and registrars, then ICANN should make good on its promise to preserve and provide consensus-based multi-stakeholder disputes. And if the only entity with the authority over these decisions and willingness to exercise that power will ultimately be good, not just for the internet and internet users, but for ICANN itself. So I bet you didn't realize that behind the scenes of the internet, the bulky part of the internet, like you look at Amazon.com and you don't think, oh, what put them there? What goes on behind the scenes? It's big business, baby. So keep an eye on that. It's something that no one ever talks about. It's pretty important. and it could lead to huge level censorship of nonprofits, which would be atrocious. I have only one more thing in news, and this is more fun for me because I'm a librarian, you know, Liberty Librarian. And Gallup posted that in the United States, library visits outpaced trips to the movies in 2019. Job stability for librarians. Ha ha. Don't you think it's funny? They used to say libraries are going to go away. Nobody reads books. Nobody would use the library. No one needs it. And yet, here we are today. Movie, big business. People aren't going to the movies like they used to. They go to the library if they want a destination. Now, I'm going to put a little salt into this, but I think it's because of online services like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and Disney Plus that people are also staying home because there's so much content. But it makes me pretty happy because I love libraries. Obviously, I love it. So I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna just share a few of the little stats because I think it's pretty awesome. So they collected in December of 2019. They said in the survey that the rankings at the beginning of the millennium remained the same today. A small decrease has occurred in reported trips to the movie theater, down 1.3 average visits. Meanwhile, a small increase have taken place in average reports in visiting a museum, up 0.7 average visits, attending a live music or theatrical event, up 1.1 average visits, which I will say, my husband, Andy, and I, we do go to a lot more shows than we ever did before. And visits to National Historic Park, up 1.3 average visits. So people are getting out, but they're doing more location-based things and more social events. But women visit libraries nearly twice as frequently as men. So if you're targeting books and you're targeting libraries, definitely think of women. But I think there might be reasons for that. I mean, the majority of people who work in libraries are women. So maybe our marketing targets women more. Maybe that's something to think about. Men and women report doing most activities about the same rate, but there are a few key differences. So women visit 13.4 times to 7.5 for men. Men are more likely to visit casinos, attend sporting events, and visit national historical parks. Traditional. It's kind of interesting though. You see, so the women go to the library 13.4 times, but to a movie 5.6 times. To the library for men 7.5 times, to a movie at a movie theater 5.1 times. So it's kind of warms my heart to see that people love the library so much that it is actually outpacing going to sporting events, visiting historical parks. Going to the library is the most popular thing that people are doing when they go out. Isn't that amazing? I mean, except for eating, everybody eats. But the most active group are age 30 to 49 is in most activities. So people who are that age, they go out and do the most stuff. The lowest is 65 and older. So the 30 to 49 age group, higher activity, they have like youth combined with midlife financial stability. You got money, you can do stuff. And if you don't have kids, you can do a lot more stuff. Their average attendance of 7.4 events during the year is more than twice that of younger adults and exceeds older adults by more than 3 visits. So you got time, you have energy, you know what you want, and it's kind of fun to go do social stuff. So if you need to do it, go to the library. We'd love to have you. And it was kind of neat. You see 18 to 29, 15.5 visits. Now you kind of wonder if that includes them doing it for school, but I think they're asking for fun. I didn't see the actual questions. 12.3 for 30 to 49. So they're considering them leisure activities. So they're going there to hang out. So that's pretty good. And I like seeing there's so many people going to the zoo. I love doing that, but I don't do it very often. I go to the library all the time, not just because I work there, but there's a lot of fun stuff too. high income households generally do more activities. They have more time, more money to do it. So they actually have the widest gap. Low income households, you would think that they would do more activities, but it actually looked like the more money you have, you're more likely to, it's actually, the breakdown is pretty even. The most people actually are less than 40,000 that go to the library. It's like 12 visits compared to 40 to 99,000 is 10 visits, and 100,000 plus is 8.5. I imagine it's because then they're probably just buying the books that they want, or, you know, that kind of thing. But they should read. You think they would read. So anyway, certain activities. A lot of times people with kids like to bring their children to the library. It's a more family-friendly atmosphere. If you have no children under 18, which I think this is fascinating. I thought it would be the opposite. If you have children under 18, they average about 10 visits. If you have no children under 18, is 10.8 visits. So it's actually higher if you don't have kids, because you just are going out for fun. Regional variations. The Midwest is the highest. Doesn't surprise me. We love our libraries here. We have very nice libraries, 12.9. In the East, our second place for average visits, 10.4. The West is 10.1, and the South is 9.3. So let's get competitive, y'all, right? Go to the library. And I think if you make it, it's important to your community, then people will build beautiful libraries that have great services, and they will show up. So the bottom line, despite digital activities like Netflix and ebooks and streaming entertainment, people are still leaving home and they want to go somewhere. They want to see other people. And that is one of the best reasons to have libraries, because you got to have a human connection. Why do we read? We want to understand the world. We want to understand each other. We want to be understood. So I'm just really happy to see that people in the past have told me, oh, libraries are going to go away. Your job's going to go away. And it hasn't. And it probably won't. And I think as long as people want to see each other and have that human connection, libraries will be the #1 destination for people, for learning, for figuring out the world, and getting good books too. It can't hurt. So bring your kids, bring your friends, go visit at the library. Try it if you haven't been there in a while. I know it's not everyone and it's not all the time, but I love books, and I love to help people. And so if you're interested in finding your library, there's a lot of really great services that public libraries are really offering now. And I'm trying out things like Overdrive and Hoopla are great ones where you can get free ebooks through your library that go right to your reader. You can get movies streamed to your computer for free. And it's all because you have a public library card. So, and in the state of Minnesota, there are things like Elm, which is a bunch of databases and resources for people for free that you use by having a public library card or just living in the state of Minnesota. So please do consider your library as a resource. There's so much great stuff, and we can get you things for free. And I really am, it's my library plug, guys. You are living in a time where libraries are #1. And I am so glad. So support your local libraries, support your local librarians, and give them a little love. And on that note, I'm going to call it a night. And please watch next week on Thursday for my new time for Liberty Librarian. I'm still pondering Mondays. I know for the next few Mondays, it's going to be impossible, but I do love the Monday night. Let me know what you think, if you like the new time or not. Sorry about the little delayed start tonight, but you can watch it later at your leisure and whatnot. And then next week on Wednesday at 8 p.m., Kara Schultz and I are going to start our brand new show, Sweet Subversives. If I can talk. Oh, it's been a long week. Whew. Sweet Subversives. It's going to be an awesome show. We're going to have a lot of fun. If you see me and Kara, we're best friends, and we get along and talk about crazy stuff all the time. It's super great. So have a wonderful week. You'll get your fill of lots of Heather time next week. So have a wonderful week. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Go to the library, and I will see you next week, guys. Have a great day. Do do do. Bye. See you next week.